Hey, this is Benny for Lover and a Fighter, and I'm down here in downtown Sewanee, and I came out here because it has this little cool fountain area, and you know, kids come out here and play, and it's just a really cool spot during the summer. And there's actually a soccer game going on right in front of me right now, and people are just chilling. And I came down here to talk about getting out of bad relationships. And the number one reason why people stay in bad relationships, at least, you know, in terms of marriage, is you know, they dread telling kids. And I remember, because I've been through this, I was married for 10 years and got a divorce. And I remember, you know, what I was thinking and feeling when it was time to tell the kids. You know, you start to think about, you know, okay, you know, what are the living dynamics going to be? You start to think about, okay, well, if I'm not with my kids all the time, that means that my ex is going to have more influence over them than, say, me. And then maybe some kids, or some night your kids are going to be lonely and they, you know, start crying or whatever because they miss you. There's so many things that go into this, right? And it's really just fears that play up in our heads that really can keep us from making this totally positive decision. And I say it can be a positive decision because in my life, the quality of my life is 20 times better since I've gotten a divorce. And unfortunately, in my life, what that required was my ex moving back into her parents, which was halfway across the country, with the kids for a period of 2 years. Now, thankfully, my ex and my kids are moving back within, you know, a half hour of me, actually next week. And that's really fucking cool. And I'm really excited for that. But in order to make this decision, I had to bite this bullet and accept that I was only going to get to see my kids like once every 3 or 4 months. And that happened, it was that way, you know, for 2 years. But, you know, when it was time to have this conversation with the kids, we had this kind of vibe of positivity and that everything was going to be okay. And that's exactly how the conversation went. The kids will go along with how you present it, provided that you're congruent with how you are from day to day, right? Don't be fake about it. You know, so if you bring your everyday personality into that discussion and you try to give them some guidance just like you would about teaching them anything else, they're going to accept it. A young child's mind, you know, is moldable, and that's, you know, presumably what you've been doing up to this point anyway. So I can tell you that, you know, that conversation for me went a lot better than, say, what was going on up here, the way I was, you know, projecting it. And, you know, my life's way better because of it. So don't fear having that discussion if splitting up is the right decision. Now, the other thing is sometimes, you know, splitting up isn't the right decision, you know, because it really is a decision you have to make. And so really what I would ask you is that, you know, are both parties willing to put in the work? Because that's what a relationship is. It's putting in work from both ends. And so you might find yourself in a situation where, you know, your partner's willing to put in the work, but you're not. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to feel like an asshole because of that. And I'll tell you why. Because if you've already spent a lot of years trying to make things work with this person, and maybe you haven't done your best, maybe you had to learn some lessons over the course of this relationship, but if you've already spent that time and they already have so far to go, even if they're willing to put in the work, you know, you're going to waste, you know, a good portion of your life waiting for them. And that's not okay, because we only live once on this planet, right? You only get one life. As far as we know, you know, we all fucking rot in the ground at some point. You know, that's the way I look at it. So, you know, if that's the case, you got to kind of seize the moment and get out there and meet somebody that's going to complement your life. So you don't want to be stupid about it, right? You don't want to bounce from relationship to relationship, just kind of living off that honeymoon phase high. But, you know, there are amazing people out there. So somebody who, you know, was married for 10 years and got a divorce in my 30s, I've been able to see the caliber of person that's out there. You know, there are people out there who have been working on themselves since their 20s and now all of a sudden are like super in shape, or maybe they make a lot of money, or they're super smart, or just really fun to hang out with. There's so many people out there. So if you're missing out on a great relationship, don't stay in a bad relationship just because of, you know, some kind of fear. So, you know, if they're willing to put in the work, you have to assess, well, how much work is it going to take, you know, to meet them in the middle, you know? And so, you know, you may decide it's too much. Now, if you're willing to put in the work, and then they are too, because you can't do it all for them, right? You have to both meet in the middle. But if you're both willing to put in the work, if you're a man, you're watching this video, what you can do is read Way of the Superior Man by David Data, and you could read How to Be a 3% Man by Coach Corey Wayne. And between those two books, it'll teach you everything that you need to know to be the kind of man that, you know, your wife is going to want to put in work for, and to be the kind of man that your kids deserve, and just, you know, to be that man that you even look up to. And those two books right there teach you everything you need to know. So that's if, you know, both parties are willing to put in the work. But don't live off your fears. You know, get out of a bad relationship. I can tell you, there's so many fucking amazing people out there in the dating world, and it's a grind. You know, it's not easy. It really calls you to be your best self, because you're in competition with all these other single people, and really from all age ranges, right? And so it can be really tough. I'm not going to lie, and really that's what the rest of my content's about, is teaching you what it takes to kind of have success out there in the dating world. You know, it ultimately get out there and get on the grind. Don't stay in a bad relationship, and that's it. Hope you all have a great day. Have a great week.